All right. Well, hello everyone. We have quite an audience already gathered here, so it's really an honor to have all y'all there in the chat with us tonight, and looking forward to this very intriguing discussion with, of course, a premier researcher in the field of exopolitics, as you are probably more than not aware of, right? So this is Dr. Michael Salla, and we want to welcome him this evening to our live chat.
Thanks for having me, Andrea. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yeah, it's grand. I mean, I think it's just lovely to be able to sort of give you a chance to tell some of your story. It's which is something that maybe a lot of people aren't that familiar with. I remember I was doing when I was teaching my course, I was looking up stuff from Stefano Brescia, and you were the interviewer. Right? I think it was a MUFON conference, or
We did a conference in Hawaii.
yes,
He was,
that
he
was.
was a speaker. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, there you go. So yeah. All right. So do we have anybody yet? Okay. Looking forward. Everybody's just saying hello and all that. So we usually leave our chats kind of free where people can kind of riff however they like. But I guess I can open up with a question. And when did you start getting interested in UFOs and ETs and all that?
Well, for me, it was 2001. It was the Disclosure Project press conference,
Oh.
and I was teaching full time at that time. I was an assistant professor in the School of International Service at American University. So I was very much focused on international peace and conflict resolution. So very kind of conventional, although I was opening up to new ways of looking at international conflict. And so I saw this Disclosure Project press conference, and it really just shocked me because I always believed that extraterrestrials were real and were somewhere out there, but it just had never occurred to me that they could be actually visiting us now, and that governments of the world were conspiring together to cover it up. That just didn't occur to me. So when I saw the Disclosure Project press conference, it was like the bell went off. It was like, wow, uh, it this is real. They are visiting us. It's being covered up systematically. And well, I have to research this. And so that's what I began to do. I began to research it. And the way I did it was I thought, well, I teach international conflict. I'm in the School of International Service. My major was kind of like, well, my PhD was political science. So I thought, well, this is just another branch of politics. But it's just different to the conventional form of politics because we're talking about extraterrestrial life and a cover up of UFOs. And so they had this field of exobiology. And so I thought, well, if you've got exobiology as a legitimate field,
Right.
why not exopolitics? So that's when I began doing the kind of exopolitics research. I wasn't the first one to use the term, but I was one of the first. I was amongst that early group that started to use the term exopolitics. And for me, it was like, well, this is just another branch of politics.
Well, yeah.
And I've been doing it for 24 years now.
Yeah. Well, you probably found out that it wasn't just another branch of politics.
Well, that's right. Yeah, because they basically kicked me out of the university. They said, no, this doesn't belong here. That this is, this is just conspiracy theory, and it doesn't belong in a university. And I was threatened. I was told that if this was something that put the university in a bad light in any way, then I would lose my position, and that's what happened. The Washington Post did a feature story on my research into President Eisenhower meeting with extraterrestrials. So they did a feature story on that back in February of 2004, and that was it. I mean, a few weeks after that, I got the phone call saying my position wasn't going to be renewed. My that that the program I was setting up was summarily terminated, and so that was it. I literally had to leave the country because
Really?
I'm an Australian citizen. I had at that point I had a J1 visa, which is a scholar's visa. So
Right.
we had to pack up and leave. And but it was it turned out to be kind of like a happy ending to it all, because as I was preparing to leave and I had to do everything, dissolve the household and all of that. I ended up going to Hawaii for a seminar and met my future wife. It was just amazing. So one door closes, another opens.
Yeah,
It's so true.
exactly.
I mean, I think, it's once you allow, and we just had a great conversation with Brandon Thomas from Expanding Reality, and it's about being deciduous, about being able to shed your leaves, to shed layers. And that's just a great example of something that a lot of people would have probably been very upset about for a long period of time, and were unable to shed those leaves, and they would have prevented themselves from exploring other areas that was really where they're supposed to go. And the universities are definitely, even today, I've seen it changing, but because I just left last fall, but yeah, they're still definitely a little gun shy when it comes to some of these things. And,
You would think they would change their views on it, but no, just slightly. And I have Renata here in the comments. She said, "You're too good for university, Dr. Salla." and she asked the question. She said, "Were you surprised to hear about the plight of star seeds as per Dr. Andrea's explanation of how we were abandoned mid-mission on Earth?"
Oh, right. Yeah. Like when she's talking about the whole Galactic Federation of Worlds, leadership, kind of like reaching this agreement with the kind of like Earth Alliance and the White Hats, and focusing on the things that they could both agree on and what they emphasized, which was, the galactic threat is over, that the Draco reptilians and the Nebu Greys and all the bad guys have been driven away, so problem solved. But of course, from the perspective of the galactic envoys, it's like, well, hang on, that was only half of the problem. The other half is this human misery that afflicts the planet. I mean, that's still ongoing, and so the leadership made that decision that, oh no, we're going to just reach this agreement with the prevailing powers, the power structures, and that they want to keep in place the kind of present level of technology, and not bring in the free energy, and bring in the kind of like healing, the advanced healing modalities, and all those advanced technologies that would make human suffering something that is, I mean, you might not do away with it totally, but at least people wouldn't be starving and wouldn't be kind of like struggling to find shelter and just health and medical attention and all of those things. But no, that's exactly that. People felt abandoned. The starseeds, the envoys felt abandoned. I could totally understand that.
Yeah, and it seemed like things even got worse down here for some reason. It seemed like it was going the right way, then all of a sudden it seemed stagnant, and then it kind of regressed. So we felt even more abandoned.
Yeah, it's actually gone backwards. I mean, it was moving forward in 2003.
Yeah.
You had the congressional hearings with David Grush, and things were just opening up, and they're talking about like new legislation and all of that. But by the end of 2003 and early part of 2004, they were, the deep state had fought back, kind of like cut things back. But now, in 2025, they're just like moving everything back now. It's like now they're saying the big deal is, now they're saying the position is that, well, all the UFOs people see out there, that's just Pentagon disinformation, that this this is what the Pentagon wants you to believe, that the whole extraterrestrial phenomenon, that's Pentagon disinfo. That the truth is that everything you're seeing up there is just kind of like stealth and other classified aerospace technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's almost a form of gaslighting.
Yeah. Major gaslighting by the government, by the people.
The past 70 years, it's well, what was interesting is once I had because we had been talking about this on my channel since 2024, and once we had a little bit more exposure, people came out of the woodwork, and I think so many individuals in the field of, not even the field of disclosure, there's people who are contactees or interested in these kinds of things, regular citizens who are being set up for wonderful situations that seem to be in the near future in 2023, and nothing happened, and it's now 2025. People were really they were asking questions like, well, where is it? What happened to it? Why is it not here? And there were, I can say, really no channels that were actually answering the questions. They just kept going on with the same, everything's great, it's just taking longer, everything's going to be wonderful, wait another month, and all these things are happening, and then nothing would ever happen, and no one would ever explain it, and people
eternally waiting. Next month,
right. Yeah. Well, the copier broke upstairs and we couldn't do it, or I think that the med beds have been healing the soldiers in the military now for about 3 years. They have one med bed, I guess. We have see.
Antonia Tabarello said, well, Dr. Andrea and Dr. Salla, it's time to build your own university soon.
Oh, yeah, no. Nope, never going back there. Here's Renata. How do you see the situation unfolding in the near or distant future for star seeds? Be they fourth, fifth, or sixth density, is it up to the Federation to do something, or who? Renata asks.
Well, that is such a great question. I think when you look at how there has been this kind of like stepping back as far as the official establishment is concerned, they're stepping back. They're going to try and keep this under wraps for a few more years, and so we have to step up. We are the envoys, the star seeds. We're the ones that came here with all of the knowledge of the stars, of our brothers and sisters in the stars, and so now it really does come to us to educate the rest of humanity. And I was really encouraged when you told me, Andrea, that the Galactic Federation envoy program, that there was going to be physical contact happening, and that even though official disclosure wasn't going to happen, that the physical contacts were going to continue. And I think that's what has to happen now, that we have to move into a higher gear. And the number of extraterrestrial contactees, people who are having face-to-face contact with extraterrestrials, I mean, maybe there's a few hundred, like in the United States, and maybe a few hundred more around the world that are actually having face-to-face. And you, Michelle, can talk more about that. But I think what has to happen is that that has to exponentially grow, so that we're now having thousands of people having to face-to-face contact and sharing that information and raising the consciousness of the planet, because that's how it has to happen now. That we have to start this grassroots consciousness raising effort, and that means that a lot more of us that are capable of having contact, that are ready for it, kind of emotionally and intellectually, we have to step up and start having it, and then we're going to really change the world just from this grassroots awakening.
Yeah, it has, and I think upstairs is dropping the ball a lot. It's I don't know quite. I have not actually asked specifically. I know there's a danger of them being shot down still by the black military and the deep state, but there's ways they can phase in and out and of people's areas, just like the military does. And I just think they're not stepping up in this kind of situation as much, and that's not about people's individual family members. They don't really have a say. But when we're meeting in these councils and discussing what are the next steps and what needs to be done, I just think they're so out of touch with the situation we're in here, the desperation, and that's something that we see being on the front lines. It isn't just about us living our life here. There's people who are desperately ill. There's people who are having financial issues, and it's not their fault because they're targeted. So they're prevented from getting jobs. Most of their life has been a very difficult situation due to this targeting. I was one of them. Other people are having the bad guys, I just call them that, are using their family. They're mind controlling their family to make their life more difficult. So you have a lot of unnecessary and sort of unplanned for impediments for the ground crew team, which are not being addressed. Michelle, me, Erica, we're still working with people who have a lot of different weird physical things going on and different attacks going on, and it's not being addressed. We're addressing it down here. So it's really just a dropping of the ball from these people upstairs, which is, if anything, disturbing.
I think it was mostly like that, but I think they were made aware. We're all coming together and stating those facts and telling them what's going on, showing them. And that change upstairs, I think now they're aware of that, but they weren't. They were, I agree with you. It was completely disconnect. They didn't know.
They're not intervening. They're not. I was hit this week. You were hit this week. I know, Michael, as you said, JP was hit.
That's right. Yep. He had to go into the hospital, and he was just, he was threatened when back in 2017 when he was sharing photos with me.
Yeah.
He was told that some kind of like operatives came up to him and threatened him and said, "Look, don't take videos, don't share videos with me," because he was sharing photos, but they told him point blank, "Don't share videos. Photos, okay, videos, no." So because you can tell a lot more from a video than a photo. But then he did this video just last Saturday night, I think it was, when he took the video and then he decided to release it, and then bang, as soon as he released it, he said he felt chest pains and he had to go to the hospital.
Well, it's nice that he has zero protection. So again, upstairs, just like all of us, we're not getting any. These are the questions that we don't have answers to, and these are the questions that no one is answering anywhere. And why
they're still trying to figure out what to do down here. They know now what's going on, but they had to do the whole cleaning upstairs, and now they're figuring out how to work down here. But it was a mess up there, just like it is down here. So they just finished that up there. So I'm thinking that they'll get their crap together down here too and start protecting more, working on us down here, because I know the healings were happening. I felt it. Erica felt it. You felt it, Andrea.
It is minuscule. I'm not.
I know, but it's like they're doing something. It's just that it's been such a mess for so many years that now to clean up this mess, we need unity. We need to unite. And what we're doing, talking about it, getting everybody together, helping one another. We can help heal each other. We can do so much. We can help with the information, putting information out there, reaching others that need help, and create a community down here. I think that's the way of helping down here. Create this huge community that you, Andrea, you started a lot of this. Dr. Michael Salla started this years ago, talking about it. It's a step. We got to work down here too. But I think they are getting their crap together upstairs. It's just that it's such a huge crap show they have to clean up.
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't be as critical about the upstairs people, the federation, because I think when you look at the Q movement and you look at the Make America Great Again movement in the US and patriot movements in other countries, everyone underestimated the power of the deep state. I mean, that's quite clear. Like me looking at it all now, like the first Trump administration and the MAGA movement. Everyone thought the deep state was done. They're collapsed, and now it's just a done deal. That you're going to have the mass arrests, you're going to have all of that stuff. But it didn't happen, or whatever happened. It's almost like this Diddy trial where the guy gets off on the major charges, and he just gets the minor charges, gets guilty on the minor charge. And in a way, he's a figure for the. It's like he's a mirror for the deep state. Like, this is the way the deep state, like, on the most serious things, they got away with it. And they're going to get punished, but for the minor things. And I think this, and when you look at, like the Galactics, and they're trying to make deals with our white hats and the Earth Alliance, but the deep state is still here and still powerful and still calling a lot of the shots and creating a lot of problems. And I mean, we did an update with JP not that long ago where he was kidnapped from Japan and taken to a space ark in the Pacific Ocean and told to activate it. And he said no, but there were like these 30 black-clad operatives in there. So these operatives had taken over a space ark. So, people who say, well, the deep state is done because the Nebu and the Draco are gone. It's like, well, these guys are Satanists. They're black magicians. They know about magic. They understand the power of magic, and they're incredibly smart, and they are incredibly disciplined, and they know how to manifest things. They don't doubt. They know how to manifest stuff. So you're dealing with black magicians. So I think that this is part of the reason why the people upstairs haven't been able to make a lot of progress, because they understand that we still have a big problem in kind of like clearing up this vestigial influence of the deep state.
Yes.
I guess I get, the thing that I tell them is we need help doing that. How can people vote? My position, which I when I go upstairs, I'm not nice, so they know that, and because this is, I just think it's I think they screwed up majorly, and it's how can we move forward with dismantling, as you said, and they are incredibly powerful. They have all the tech, we have nothing, but upstairs has the tech. So to me, it reminds me of when the British used to go into South Africa. You have people with spears against guns, and that's basically what we're looking at here. And then blaming the people with the spears for causing all their own problems. It's classic colonial jargon. I don't understand how we can really move forward without significant and open whatever they have planned. And even if it's conflict at this point, because I'm just guessing, this is what we've been told by an 11th density race. They said that 80% of the people on this planet are completely unaware with what we're talking about. They living their thing, whatever, every day. So 80% of the people will technically support the bad guys. And that leaves only a small percentage of us to try to do this. I just don't see how that in any sort of strategic war type situation, which is what we're in, how you can get that to fly. But
unless something drastic happens, they need to,
I think is going to be the way.
That's what it seems to be heading.
But there just has to be more contacts, more of the ETs showing up. I don't know if you saw that video that JP put out of the craft above his house.
Yeah.
It was like you saw the craft like splitting and then joining, splitting and joining a few times. So it was quite clear this is not a balloon, this is not a drone, this is not an airplane. This was an extraterrestrial craft above JP's house and just kind of like showing up. And we just have to have a lot more of that. You know, a lot more of the ETs have to show up. I mean, we have to start filming them. We have to start like educating people because people want evidence. People don't want
we deserve it. I think and this is something I bring up with them all the time. It's like we want a seat at the table. We don't even know where the table is, and you need to stop negotiating our future with our oligarchy. I mean, this is not sovereignty, and we've been told to be very careful about free will versus sovereignty. So we want to discuss sovereignty. That each one of us is a sovereign being, and we, as each one of us on this planet, have the determination to say where we're going to go. We don't want any more top-down decisions made over our heads. And this is what I've just been, livid about. I mean, don't you upstairs or anyone else, certainly on this planet, dictate to me what kind of future I'm going to have, and I'm just supposed to sit back here passively and receive the laws. So it's like, there's just a lot of red flags for me in this entire political process between whatever is happening here, which we don't even know, to be honest. And Michael, you've done a lot more research than I do as far as digging into this, but is there any real hard evidence of any of the actual negotiations going on between an extraterrestrial council, federation, what have you, and any Earth political and military figures?
Well, yeah, that's starting to come out. I mean, we just had another source saying that Donald Trump, during his first administration, had been briefed about the Nordic extraterrestrials. Okay. So this was something David Grush revealed, that Trump had been briefed about these Nordic-looking extraterrestrials. Then you had Haim Eshed talking about the Galactic Federation having contact with Trump and then negotiating. So a little bit's coming out, but I think the official decision by those that are in control of the governments is that they're going to slow walk official disclosure. You're not going to have anything major coming out of governments for a few years now. So it really does leave it up to us. And in a way, we this is where we can get to make lemonade out of that particular lemon. Yeah. Because it gives us more time to like expand our networks, have more contacts, share more of the evidence, and like really get people up to speed. Because at the moment, like you said, only a small percentage of the whole planet is aware of this. Yeah. The vast majority are just asleep. So we have to wake up the starseeds and everyone together to wake up the rest.
It was interesting. And that's why I like what I'm doing now that I'm out of university is I get to meet with a bunch of different people on the street who are the contactees. And they're all afraid. And I think, because we've never been able to do an actual study, because most people won't come forward. They're afraid, mostly because of their families or their work situations or whatever, to say what they've experienced. But I think it's going to be in the absolute millions, if not more. And we have to find a way where we're so scattered. How do you get a platform together where all of these people can step forward and say, look, this is it? Imagine we need to walk on Washington, maybe. An envoy contactee Exopolitics walk on Washington. Look, there's millions of us. Here we go. But it's very frustrating, not only for those people, but also for our contacts. I know my husband is just really pretty upset right now about the nothing that's happening. And it's just and again, even for these higher dimensional beings who are been waiting for like 28,000 years for something to happen and nothing's happening. And
And
it's yeah. But,
I believe that we have to unite down here and we have to create this community, but I think they upstairs have to work with us
yeah.
in showing more of the ships so people can be more curious about that and want to know. So we can film it. We can have, not those crazy images that it's all fuzzy and everyone's kidding around like, oh, why is it that whenever they film ships, it's always like with the worst camera made in 1984 or something like, you know what I mean? It's always bad imaging. And we need to have them work with us and maybe show themselves more in the skies so we can film, have like proof. And our community, we can build it, keep building it, keep uniting and getting together and sharing information and helping one another and try to build this huge community down here. Plus, upstairs, they have to know they cannot rely on any Earth government. Every single government in this Earth has been compromised. They need to rely on the people. They need to connect to us, to the people down here, not governments. Governments mostly are all DS.
Yeah.
They're all compromised. So there's always going to be somebody in there leaking information, even if they're talking to somebody that means well in there. Around them, there are many people that are compromised. So they should start really just talking to people, the real people down here, not governments.
Right.
And then we build this community. We start showing more things in the sky so people can get more interested and people will start waking up. Wait a minute. What are all these images? Things are happening. They feel more interested. So they'll start reaching out to our community and we can start showing more and more things, showing ways, things that happen, talking about things that happen in the past, present, that are happening now. I don't know. I think it has to be a group effort from them, the people down here, the envoys, and also, showing more proof.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's very hard now to like the amount of shadow banning that's happening on the social media on these topics is just off the wall. I mean, if you talk nonsense, you'll get like millions of followers.
Right.
Yeah. If you're talking like extraterrestrial disclosure, doing regular interviews and all of that, you get shadow banned, and so your audience just kind of like incrementally grows.
Right.
And because I know why they're doing it, because the deep state understands that the extraterrestrials look at the consciousness of humanity, and if they see, well, if humanity's consciousness is more about these kind of like trivial issues like survival type issues, the kind of nonsense you get on YouTube, then like, oh well, our consciousness is still pretty low. But if you got like these channels like our channels having tens of millions of followers, then the people upstairs would say, oh wow, this is humanity's ready now. But the controllers know this, the deep state know this, so they're stopping us from getting the word out. They're doing all this incredible shadow banning, hitting us with all these like poisons and attacks. We got a lot of protection, but still things get through. I mean, I thought I would have been protected, but something got through and hit me, and I almost died. And it's like, wow, that was a big shock to me, because it's like, wow, because I know I got a lot of protection, but still they got through.
Oh yeah, and even a commenter here said, due to this, they have to stop mind wipes so more of us have full memories.
Oh yeah,
that will also help. And Rocky Mountain said that.
Oh yeah, there's our
mind wipes. So
and that's I just throw the blame upstairs, because there's plenty of us upstairs on the ships. All of us here are upstairs on the ships, and they know exactly what you just described, Michael. They know that. They know that, if they were to use this concept that, humanity's not ready, they know that this is absolutely.
No, they were using that before, but I think they're aware. They're aware.
Obviously, if you have in this system, an extremely unbalanced, basically Draco type economic system that makes sure the majority of the population is struggling to feed itself and to pay its rent.
Mm-hmm.
These people are not going to have the time or the energy to spend, and this is of course on purpose, and upstairs knows this because we've all been up there complaining about the impact of a fake. Not only we're well, here we go, right? We all know the story. We're poisoned, right? We're genetically screwed up. You're not even born correctly because your mother is poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
You have epigenetics that have been deliberately made to make us regressive. So there is literally everything thrown at us. I've been thinking about how to create a better metaphor to describe, but essentially it's like we're in 1850 Georgia, and we notice on a plantation that there's a big mansion house where people are living all dressed nice and clean and lovely, and music is playing, and oh, they're so cultured. And then you walk out back to the slave shacks and you say, oh God, these people are so regressive. Why are they dirty and living in shacks and not playing music? And it's just you don't. Here's why. Here's why. I mean, it's to me not only gaslighting, it's patronizing, it's condescending, it's insulting, and it's frankly deeply offensive that any of these galactics would ever blame the victim, basically, and that's where I stand with them. And
yeah, I think there was that whole disconnect. So we got to put ourselves in. I think like I get pissed off at them, yeah, but I also
I don't give them the time of day.
Up there,
Yeah.
they were also disconnected from what was going down here, and now they're all uniting. There's actually people volunteering out there from other planets. They are going into the Federation because they were so repulsed by everything that happened. Mm-hmm. So people are volunteering. They're training people up there. They're getting people ready because it was like a lot of people up there were compromised. And they found out so many people were compromised that they need help. And when this was exposed in other planets, they were so repulsed. Everyone was so repulsed that people are volunteering to come in. So people are getting trained up there. They're coming in. They're getting ready. Yeah. But it's been going on for years.
Well, I got Semyasi, and Semyasi wants to say something, and she said, of course, she's been with Billy Meyer, and she said, this whole situation has been, set up in the most egregious way. She quit after Billy Meyer. Mm. She thought that was a dog and pony show. I can't say, whenever you get her started on that, yeah. She just is like, that was the most stupid. That whole contactee thing, she was saying, what in the ever-loving, and it affected these people on the ground in a very bad way. And nothing was ever forwarded from this kind of thing. So she just has, she's I haven't taken a step back, but she was kind of like, I feel like I'm screaming at a wall. Hmm. And it's the, and I, to be fair, this happens everywhere. When you're the kind of person who runs off of compassion, when you're the kind of person who's very analytical, when you're the kind of person who reasons, you're the person no one listens to.
Yeah.
And that's largely what she's discovered. So she has a little bit more freedom than Ika, because he's got to watch what he says, but he's just been really depressed for a couple of years now because he knew what was going on. But it's just from her perspective, and there's many like her. This is well, we had Galathiel and Sal, and I think there's some other people. I don't know them personally. I know Gally personally, but they just finished another frustrating council meeting. Mm. You just. It's almost like talking to the deep state when you're upstairs.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I mean, we have. Let's see, so we have some. We're missing all of our questions.
Oh yeah. Let me check.
Yep. Does Dr. Salla know why Billy Meyer promotes the idea from Semyasi about climate change? Well, Semyasi is not promoting that. So, why Billy Meyer promotes the idea about climate change and that we are heading towards extinction because of it?
Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that he was supporting climate change, or but you said that's not Semyase, so I don't know. That might be his personal opinion or something. But yeah, as far as I know, the whole climate change thing is a distraction from the fact that the sun is just getting a lot more energy from the great central sun and from the region that our solar system is entering, and so the sun is putting off a lot more energy, and that the Earth is going to be heating up, and that our magnetic field is collapsing, and that the core is starting to kind of act up, and so you have a lot of these volcanoes being triggered all over the world. So the climate change is like a distraction from all of that.
Yeah. And of course, we know who is creating all of the toxic stuff to spread around. And I always used to tell my students that I'm not making plastic bags, right? If plastic is terribly bad, which it is, why are we making it? And so I guess that's a big question. Where it's not us that's the problem. It's the It's the ones that are polluting the environment that is the problem. So if we were on Rumble, we could say more. But
there are other questions here too that we missed. Vince Free.
Some other folks you missed.
Vince Free question: do you think the delay can be a result from channelers getting information from mixed contact, giving false info on purpose to muddy the water and try to make good information not credible?
Oh, well, that's another interesting question. I think a lot of people that are channeling or communicating this information that, everything is good and everything is going to change. And, they're putting out these optimistic scenarios out there, but it's the divorce from the reality of what's happening around us. And that reality is that the deep state hasn't been totally removed. Those elements of it that were captured or punished or like dealt with in some way, that hasn't eliminated the deep state altogether. And we're talking about a transnational collection of secret societies all over the planet, and and they are very good at operating behind the scenes, and they're not the ones that kind of get out there and get the kind of like the prime public positions as like prime ministers or as heads of ministries and so forth. They operate behind the scenes, and so it's very hard to remove that kind of influence completely from a system, because the ones you can get, the ones that can be hauled off to trial and all of that are the ones that actually are making the decisions or the policies, and they're caught in the act. But the ones that are behind the scenes kind of pulling the strings, they're much harder to deal with and identify. And I think that's what's happened. It's just that the channelers, the people that were in communication with some positive extraterrestrials and putting out a lot of kind of hopium or optimistic scenarios, I guess they would kind of divorced from the reality, and even the people upstairs. I mean, I wonder how much they understand just how these how powerful and how embedded these satanic groups are in the kind of like running our planet behind the scenes.
And they've been doing it for thousands of years. So the grip they have on everything and how to do it.
Well, we as well.
Yeah.
We've been doing it as well. You know, we're
true.
ground crew. We know. That's why we came here. We came with the knowledge of this because we know.
Well, I work with shaman, and they channel, and they'll tell you, oh boy, you need to know what you're doing because they've been hit.
Yeah.
So, but they just know, you know, when you are, it's not just something you wake up one morning, and this is what I think is going to happen. You know, there is a glitz and glamour associated with coming on a screen and social media and you know, oh, I'm talking to somebody and doing all the theatrics, and you can make money like that. But to actually be a trained shaman who does these kinds of things takes, and I work with Louise Jones, Psychic LJ. She trained me, and she's the first person. She just got hit again. She had to stop doing all of her galactic stuff many years ago. I forgot how many years ago, maybe 5 years ago. She was taken down. YouTube took her down. And she just actually put up a video from 2017 where she was channeling Shola. She's a Pleiadian. I know Shola myself. And the minute that Louise put up that old video of her talking to Shola on the political structure, bam, she had to stop her live stream on, she got hit hard Sunday night and had to stop her live stream. So when she was approached by Ashtar Command when she was a teenager. And she says, who is this? You know, she says, and it was fake. It was Ashtar. She says, this guy I knew was the bad guys. And then she's even had Draco reptilians impersonating Shola, and they came to kill her. So people are delving into realms that require, you know, decades of training to know how to negotiate this realm. And even when you do, it's still always a risky place to be. So that's why I just telepath. I don't have anything to do with that. But it is, it's, you know, we've lost a lot of the old timey skills. So that's,
yeah, and it's very dangerous now because they are targeting researchers and contactees and yeah, I mean, if you're really shaping or you're having some public outreach and you're succeeding in expanding your network, they come after you and yeah, I mean, you get targeted and it's so challenging. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and again, that's why I scream upstairs. I'm like, this is the joke. So we have somebody was talking about protection there, and they're working with George Cavassalis, and I lost that one.
Oh, it was right up top, I think.
I don't think it was Renata, was it? Who was?
I think Renata. It was.
Can you pull it up? I can't pull.
Let me see. I'll look for it here. I think it was.
It won't let me do this. I don't think. Let me see.
I'm going up.
Okay, here we go. I got it. I can do it. All
got
right.
it.
Oh nope. I got to be careful because I don't want to like screw up because I'm on the main. I'm on the main.
No, let me look then. I thought it was.
Oh, here it is. Okay, it's Dr. Helena O'Neill. She says the more I raise my frequency, the more I get hit. Oh yeah, well you're a target, of course. So working on getting better, but since April 8th, I have one health crisis after another. Oh yeah, they're going to do that. Getting too much attention and being, a bit down. Yeah, they don't want that. And Vincent, I like, it's the toilet seat. Oh yeah, we're living in a toilet bowl. Yes. Oh yeah, you're going to see that all the time. The minute you start doing something they don't like, for sure, they're going to make sure you don't do it.
Yeah, Dr. Helena O'Neill says about she hopes like star seeds find out about creating mirror protection.
Oh, and she said it's not just me. Yeah, no.
And even just having protection, we do, but the attacks are so many, and they look for ways in, and we all have weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it cracks, and that's how they get in. And they have so many tactics. Then they hit us with many different things, many different ways. We are powerful. We have a lot of protection. We can protect ourselves. But when we're down here, we get hit from all sides, all angles, and any little weakness, any little crack in your shield, they'll get through.
Well, you got Renetta Jones. Renetta Jones was the very well-known contactee secret space program. They pretty much almost turned her into a cyborg, and we still have all this evidence from her, from the scans on her body, all of the different nanotech and chips and weird like wiring in her. It's just mind blowing. When she was murdered, and also our friend Rob Potter was removed. So it is. Yeah, I mean, especially if you live near a military base, that's when you're really going to get hit. Anybody who lives near military bases, you're kind of like in the ground zero for the experimental funsies that they do.
Try to move if you can.
Yeah.
And also the whole unity thing, it helps because we're feeling more powerful, helping one another. We become stronger than we already are.
Oh, Ben has a great question for Michael. What is your opinion on Earth entering the photon belt? I've heard of this. The positive polarity of the universe around Alcyone, the Pleiadian central sun in our galaxy. Gene Decode has mentioned the photon belt a lot. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been aware of that for quite a few years. A lot of people have been talking about us entering the photon belt and the frequencies rising, and this giving us a capacity to kind of like break out of the matrix. And yeah, I think some people have been able to kind of like evolve and make breakthroughs, but I think there's still a lot of attacks going on, a lot of distractions to try and get people to keep their minds away from things that expand their consciousness and connect them to source intelligence, and to just get them to focus on survival issues, because that's what we're seeing more and more now. People are being preoccupied with survival issues, just having the basics, and that's spreading. So if we're entering the photon belt, and that gives us this capacity to break into this higher consciousness, for those that are ready for that, they can make great progress and grow tremendously fast. But for others that have the potential, I mean, they're being hit by all these things, and they're kind of like survival issues are paramount. And yeah, it's like you see the deep state. It's just attack after attack. I mean, there's just a lot of repression going on at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to just say, Dr. O'Neill, she says, so what, or Helena, so what are we supposed to do? Hide our light. So can you send us, I'm going to put information how to contact me. We're going to help you. So yeah, no, that is definitely not the answer. That's what they want us to do. But yeah, we'll get in contact with us, and we'll sort that out for you. So
Liad from Jerusalem asked also, what do you think will happen in terms of disclosure before Trump leaves office?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, 2027 seems to be a year now that a lot of people are talking about being when they might kind of like disclose a lot more stuff. And I think with Trump, I mean, that would kind of fit into, I mean, it's his second last year in office, and he'd be looking at establishing his legacy. And I think his legacy is very important to him. So I think he's going to really move very hard to roll out some of these advanced technologies that the deep state has been keeping away from the rest of us. Now, whether we're talking about kind of like free energy, anti-gravity technology, medbed technologies, I think Trump's going to really push to have some of those things released into the public arena. And yeah, so I think as we go to the end of his administration, he's going to really make that effort to release these things. And once they're released, then it becomes easier to move forward with the official disclosure. Because one of the things that was said, and I think this is very relevant, was that when Trump was told by the Galactic Federation during his first administration that humanity, well, he was told humanity isn't ready yet because we don't have sufficient technologies. I think he understood that until we have more of these advanced technologies that are kind of like available and being used in the public arena, then it's going to be harder to go forward with official disclosure. So I think it'll be a step-by-step process, but definitely releasing some of these advanced technologies is going to be next. And maybe that's why he's kind of like, pushing the oil industry now so aggressively, because it's like the last couple of years for these guys to make profits, because after that, when the free energy is released, it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, you can build your own. You can build your own free energy device, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're gonna try to do that. I know people who have them. I know people who sell them. So that's what I plan to do at some point if things go south. I'm going to go deep into the woods and I'm going to buy a free energy device off this person who's already making. They're actually not that hard to make, and and I know we have some people who might. I know we have people who know about this on here who might come forward again. They're in the chat, they artificially inflate the prices of certain parts that you need to build these devices to make them a little bit more challenging for folks. But if you can get a few people together to buy these more expensive parts to the free energy device, you can build one in your garage. So it's see that, and I think as you mentioned, Michael, there about like the gas and the minute any extraterrestrial tech, what people call extraterrestrial tech, comes forward, everything you know of in the world right now is obsolete. Well, everything we know of in the world right now already is obsolete. We are living in an obsolete world. And it was Colonel Ware that told Frank Chile, Frank, we're 1,500 years in the future. And that's why this is why the deep state is in all of their the deep state is all of these corporations, all of your chemical industries, all of your fossil fuel, and all of your pharma industries, all of these people. That's the deep state, and they're intergalactic. They will fight to the death, and I believe they will destroy the crust. I think we could come to that very close situation, because they will destroy us first before they back down.
Oh yeah.
The release of any of this is the end of them. And I think it would lead to a catastrophic rupture. And this might be why there's so much delays. Because bringing forward this, because you really can't, how do you drip, electrogravitic propulsion? You have it, or is there it is. Well, there we go, right? So and how do you drip free energy, right? A free energy.
I think eventually they have to stop dripping information. I think eventually people will have to be shocked into it.
I don't even know how many people will be shocked. I think a lot of people might be happy. I think you'd probably have certain.
I get surprised, with that.
It isn't the kind of thing that's going to necessarily end jobs. I know a lot of humans are obsessed with money and jobs, and that's part of the brainwashing. And so it has to be done, and I know it can be in a way that's going to be shown as benevolent to them, but in a way that they're going to realize that they're not going to lose their job. So you do have a very, very deep fear culture, and I think it's in the genetic structure as well. That's what Ika told me anyway. In this race, and it's very sad. And I just personally think it shouldn't have gotten this far. I just think it's an atrocity that it's got this far. But and Semyasi is like, but here we are. It's just going to be messy. I think no matter how we. So worthless. Oh yeah, all corporations will be worthless with well, they already have the ET tech. I mean, that's all the stuff we're using now is dripped. This is dripped alien technology, as a matter of fact. Your cell phone, or night vision goggles, all that crap crap is all from the gray technology that they dumbed down and dribbled for us to have. Here's another question from Renata. Renata's on a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She has good
she's involved with the Cavassilis. Yeah. So, Dr. Salla, do you know about Daniel List, dark journalist? He would be an amazing person for you to interview. He discloses a lot about ETs and other nefarious agendas. Oh, I don't.
Yeah, I do know about Daniel List.
Do you?
I know he tends to focus on some of the similar topics that I do, but he doesn't kind of like, as far as I know, he doesn't seem to work with the contactees and some of the secret space program insiders. So he does tend to work a lot more with kind of like former public officials and leaked documents and FOIA documents and all of that. But yeah, I just haven't found yet the kind of opportunity for me to do an interview with him, just because I mean he has a very different pool of data that he uses for his information, and I use something very different. You know, for example, the Dark Fleet. You know, I think that there's a lot of evidence that the Dark Fleet exists, that there was this breakaway Nazi program operating out of Antarctica. Now, I don't believe Daniel supports that he thinks that that's kind of disinformation. Now, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, he kind of follows the Joseph Farrell line, that the Nazis got to South America, built some advanced technology there. You know, whatever was established in Antarctica wasn't really much. It was just very basic. So yeah, I mean, that's a kind of long-winded way of saying that. Yeah, I think he has some interesting information, but I don't know whether I would be interviewing him anytime soon.
We have John. He says, "Do the benevolent ETs have Project Looking Glass technology?" Oops, and do the darn. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Trying to get this to work. So do the ET? Where is it? Okay. Do the benevolent ETs have Project Looking Glass technology, and do they have a plan that they are not telling you? Do they have no plan at all?
Okay, well, Project Looking Glass technology, I mean, that's something that was developed out of extraterrestrial technology. So the extraterrestrials definitely have it, and they use it, I guess, in many different ways. Now, as far as the classified programs are concerned, I mean, they've been using Looking Glass technology to be able to kind of like assess future possibilities. You know, if you pass this policy, what will happen, and if the other side does something, what will happen then? So both sides have had it. Now, as far as I know, the deep state's kind of like technology is a little bit better than what the white hats have had, simply because you know, the most evolved ETs, they say, well, you got to develop your consciousness, you know, before we give you the really advanced stuff. Whereas the negative ETs, they're fine. You know, like, here's some advanced tech. You could go play with it, because they know that that'll be a way for them to like just capture and control, like our public officials or people that are in the deep state even more.
So, Michelle, do you want to answer that? You know, have you ever talked to Joe Ra about that? The project, you know, the Looking Glass, the remote viewing.
I haven't talked to him much about that. I think who has more information on that is Erica.
Yeah. So Ika worked on the bases with some of this stuff, and he also worked with the time travel stuff. He didn't share a lot with me. You know, again, they're under surveillance. I think this is what people need to understand.
I think they can't share on
They
the fight.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. So it's what I know of this tech is that, as Michael said, it's possibilities. So it isn't so much. I mean, you can feed stuff into this like an AI, basically. You can feed stuff into it, and it'll give you what might happen. So it isn't so much that show like say you have a magic mirror and you say show me the future. This is the future.
Like in Snow White.
Yeah, it isn't. And I always tell people remote viewing is the same way. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can tell you what might happen, and there's probably 1,000 different timelines because we're talking quantum now.
Possibilities.
We're in the quantum, so you're looking at dimensions and the different kinds of possibilities, and the different kinds and all the different nows and the multidimensional blah blah blah. There's people word salad ad nauseum on this stuff. And that's really what you're looking at. So it's kind of, yeah. I've been bugging Erica to ask her about Edna, what Edna's been saying about them. So I call Erica's husband Edna. His name is Jorel, and I just call him Edna, and we fight all the time. We're like, I don't care. Like I won't talk to any high council members. I've had them come to me, and I won't talk to them because you can tell. They have this. You can tell their arrogant energy comes, and they're wearing like these long special clothes, and I'm like, nope. You know what? If I'm not good enough to talk to you, you're not good enough to talk to me, and I play that game with them. I figure, you know what? You ignore me, I'm going to ignore you, and I refuse to talk to anybody like that. And here's why. I say, here's why. You can fly a ship over the Sudan or over Ethiopia when they were going through the crisis, right? You can fly a ship over these places, and you can see a 2-year-old dying.
Yeah.
And you fly your ship out. I don't talk to people like that, and it's not ego. It's just like I can't understand you that you can watch someone suffer and die, especially an innocent. So that's where I cut all ties upstairs.
That's hard to grasp.
Yeah, I just think they're psycho. I call them psychopaths. I said they're psychopaths. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And I get a thumbs up from the ETs I work with on the fact that a lot of these people are psychopaths. So.
Yeah, they're so out of touch with their feelings, at least in the third here where we are. It's almost like they became so far away, some of them up there, that they don't really understand.
Yeah, what's the difference between them and the deep state?
Yeah.
We're not much. To me, not much.
But there are many up there who do care and are just as angry as we are.
Yeah, they're prevented from doing anything.
Yeah, but they're angry too.
Yeah, they're
angry about
basically where we are now, where
we're baffled to know what was going on down here. Because
right. Benevolence and compassion are 4-letter words, and anyone who tries to show benevolence and compassion is doesn't have a seat at the table, basically. So that's an old story, though. That's an old. As Michael would know in political science, we and I'm a historian, so it's like, yeah.
Renata is asking again if Dr. Salla believes we will ever really have disclosure, or will disclosure come from us?
Yeah, I think disclosure is going to come from us. I mean, it's going to come because so many people have raised their consciousness. They're having ET contacts. They're sharing the information, and the kind of heart energies that we generate as we get to bond with one another in sharing our stories and forming networks. That's going to lift up the vibration of the whole planet, and so it'll be harder and harder for the controllers to just keep us kind of hemmed in, because that's the only thing that's preventing disclosure. It's just the collective consciousness of humanity is just hemmed in into all these survival issues that are just manufactured. But once we start to really transcend that, and that's why we're here. I mean, I think all of us that are star seeds, galactic envoys, we incarnated here to do that, to raise the consciousness, because we knew, I think a lot of us know that the people that are making the decisions they're going to tend to be kind of more left-brained and follow what they consider rational, and that's going to mean compromises. And but those of us that are kind of more right-brained, we're going to be looking for networking and supporting one another and raising the whole consciousness, so that we don't leave anyone behind. We don't leave that starving kid in the Sudan behind because we don't care about it. It's like, we form networks, we do things to help one another.
Yeah. Oh, this person, LE317. I know, Michael, you were looking into this. Are you guys familiar with the Tegeta, the Swaru channel?
Yeah. I'm actually, I'm starting to research it now. I mean, Gosha and Robert are the two people that established it back in 2017 out of a conference in Montserrat. And so they were talking about the Galactic Federation 3-4 years before Elena Danaan came on the scene, and this is something I'm going to talk about in the future. But Elena did appropriate some of the Swaru material. She appropriated it and then made it look as though the Swaru material is counterintelligence. And I've noticed her do that a few times, and that's very unfortunate, because I think the Swaru material, I don't know all these different people that are associated with the Swaru material, but what I know of the way it was established, and Gosha and Robert, the two Spanish researchers that first established it, that they're genuine, they're real people that are sincere, that they are not counterintelligence. Actually, I met them at the very conference where it began, where Swaru began. I met them at that conference, and the person who contacted them also, well, I believe probably also contacted me, but I was just too busy and couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't run with it, but they did. And so that, to their credit, they're now the ones that brought the Swaru material out. And I think it makes a lot of sense that this is how some extraterrestrials would do it, that they would contact people using the internet. Because I know, going back to the 1960s, you had Rob Renault using ham radio. Before that, you had Nikola Tesla and Guglielmo Marconi using early radio communications with extraterrestrials. So extraterrestrials will communicate through the technology of the day. So today, the technology is internet. So why wouldn't they use that? And so I think that's what the Swaru material has used. Now, there's a lot of controversy. I don't know it well enough to be able to say, oh, yeah, 100% the Swaru material is accurate. But I know the way it began, the people that initially put out the information, and some of that early information is really very accurate.
Yeah. No, it's true. They are. We have been pushed forward to use social media, because I know myself that I'm actually a year behind from them wanting me to come forward. I asked him, "Do you want me to come forward?" Because Ika didn't want to come forward. Initially, he would, because he's nervous about what the situation was. But then, as the years went on, and it was last year, 2023 actually, where they had wanted the two of us to come forward, and I said no. And then last summer, 2024, they pushed again, and I told them no. And I said, I'm not using deep state technology. I refuse to come on any social media. I hate social media. And they're like, you have to use it against them. And I said, I don't care. I'm not going to use it against them. And they basically, like mafia, made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I ended up starting the channel. But they are approaching. I'm sure many folks who are also contactees are feeling, or at least being told right now, to begin sharing your messages on social media, because we need to flood it. And you don't have to have 1 million followers. That's we can have 1 million of us with 100 followers. That's all it takes. That you've just reached a lot of people. So yeah, it makes sense,
Liad again is asking a question that I think too. I think it's really relevant. Uh, what is required to do with all the religions on this planet that
Oh,
divide all peoples and washed all and brainwashing all their people from the cradle to the grave? Uh, what do you think is required? Do you have an opinion on that, Dr. Salla?
Yeah, well, I think most religions are all about controlling large groups of people to getting them to conform to certain belief systems, and none of them really are very well. Put it this way, I think that most of the organized religions are all about control and not about liberating people. I mean, that's part of the narrative. Oh, yeah, Jesus will save you and all of that. But if you look at like Christianity, I mean, very few Christians know about like going within and finding that light within and being a tool or expressing that light within so that you can change the world around you. Because that's what Jesus did, but very few Christians teach that. And I think the same in other religions, that it's all about following the dogmas of the church or of the
Or ritual or
exactly the temple, the mosque, and it's all about controlling people. But I think this is where I'm kind of like encouraged as far as the contactees are concerned, because the contactees understand that ultimately um, we have to deal with extraterrestrials who are much smarter, live longer, are much healthier, they're faster, stronger. How do you deal with beings like that? And it's not about, well, pray to Jesus and Jesus will give you the strength. No, you got to go within. You got to go and connect with that limitless source of the infinite, which is in the heart center. And people have talked about this. George Kavaslis, David Clements, many others talk about this source energy within us, that as you connect with that, then that's how you can free yourself of the matrix. And I think contactees understand this language, that I mean, because I think ultimately, how do you know what you're being told by an extraterrestrial is the truth? I mean, you have to feel it. You have to know who's trustworthy. You get some of these guys like Enki or Ea from the Anunnaki. I mean, he's like hundreds of thousands of years old. I mean, he can fool anyone, and there are many beings like that who
oh yeah.
are tens of thousands of years old. How do you know that they're not manipulating you,
mm-hmm.
deceiving you? And the only way you can do that, it's like going within and just feeling that heart center within you and being so connected to that, so that way when you're communicating with these higher level beings, these extraterrestrials, these interdimensionals, these immortals, you will feel it if they're deceiving you.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be in sovereignty. You can't. One of the main problems I think I've seen with a lot of the more like happy camper type contactee stories, or the disclosure stories where everything's love and light and all the fluffiness is, and this is what I always had a little bit of a problem with, the GFL station, is you have these very condescending, arrogant, godlike, beautiful beings that are bestowing upon humanity what you need, like we're little kids who need to be put into our little seats, and I don't, you need to not see yourself as less than these beings, and that's a hurdle, I think, for a lot of people, because we've been brainwashed to believe in hierarchies, and you have to, when somebody knocks on your door and they want to talk to you, you ask them, hey, who are you? What do you want? Right. And I think that's something, not to bow down to them, or start digging around, start finding out, why they're contacting you, what do you need to know, those kinds of things.
And also a lot of the new movements in our midst are almost becoming a religion, a cult.
Oh, huge.
So it's taking place. It's like, it's not the traditional religions, but new religions are coming in, not with the religion name, but it's the same format.
Yeah.
You're always giving your power away to somebody else. You're always trusting this somebody else to tell you what to do, how to live, how you're going to grow. No,
Right.
Go within. Look into yourself, connect to yourself, be powerful, be independent. But they're constructing different religions.
Yeah.
The whole spiritual movement, New Age, the woo-woo, Yee also, it's almost like a new religion. And people are following it like a cult. They get angry if you say anything negative from that person.
Well, it taps into the worship gene. That's the thing. They tap into the worship gene. And people fall for that idea of people actually like to hear the fact that there's something wrong with them. I think they like to hear the fact that I'm broken and here's what you need to do to fix yourself.
I'm just this little person that's so broken. I need somebody to tell me what to do. And that's not the way. That's not the way to go.
That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
If I can just say it, the GFL station, because you mentioned that, it's a really interesting site. I did speak with the founder of that site, David Nichols, and he's a lovely human being. I mean, he's really highly evolved. I've found that information to kind of like be both inspiring and also, as you said, Andrea, condescending. And it's almost like you've got these beings that are fifth, sixth, seventh dimensional beings, and they're not quite sure how to communicate with us, and they do use the language that sometimes does come across in that way. But overall, I found it to be a nice reminder that you don't get it in all the messages, but you get it in many of them. Like, the solution is going within. It's all about connecting with that heart center. And to me, that's the ultimate test for anyone. Like, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to get you to give your power away to them as like, the teacher, the prophet, the emissary? Or are they trying to get you to go within and trust yourself and connect with that kind of like heart center within you? That's the test. So I do think that the GFL station is something that can help us on our journey. It definitely has helped me on my journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't usually get past 2 minutes and I feel depressed. So I just feel like I'm being beaten down by some.
I haven't listened to that.
I think it's just it's just I think it's just for me the delivery and like that. But it's I think that's what people have to kind of
find out what works for you.
Out of it, it makes you feel good. That's a good thing. But if you watch something and it makes you feel bad, and sometimes I find that with the Swaru channel, I respect the information and it makes sense, but it can be also dark a lot of times too. But it's accurate, and I think I mean, that's why I don't always necessarily watch that one too much, because it's kind of like, we're screwed. I guess. Well, that's good, So it's you have to just play between things, I think, to find out what works. So we have any other?
We have the chat here if there's more questions.
So see. Let's hope you can switch that disclosure. TV. Let's see exactly. Changing one cage for. Oh, someone has here. I think it was Renata again. Changing one cage for another. That's what we have to be careful of. Well, we're pretty much an hour and a half in. So.
Wow, already?
Yeah. 7:30.
Goodbye.
We'll leave this. We'll put Michael on the spot again. You know what? If And I know it's always a hard question because we're kind of in the middle of things. And God, where do you stand right now? What kind of message would you like to hand out to folks about, where we are and where you think we're headed?
Well, I think we really need to step up. I mean, those of us that are aware of the truth of this information, we cannot expect the governments to come clean with official disclosure. We can't expect the ETs to come in and kind of like save the day. We have to step up to the plate. We have to raise our consciousness. We need to do the things that raise our consciousness, and that means breaking away from the stuff that puts us in fear or limits us in some way. So we have to step up and really start living the life or start performing the mission that we came here to fulfill. And that takes courage, because sometimes you have to walk away from the things that give you security. That's the biggest test. What are the things that give you security? Can you walk away from that? The job that pays you a nice salary so that you can do the things, and everything you're doing here is like a hobby. Maybe maybe that job is no good for you. Maybe it's limiting you. Maybe you need to embrace this hobby and make it your passion, and start talking about it and sharing with others. And even though you might take a financial hit, you find ways of being able to survive. I mean, we go through that, but I think that's what we need to do. We need to step up to the plate, not wait for the government to come clean, not wait for the ETs to come and save us. We have to, we have to save ourselves.
Yeah, we have to do our work, and maybe it'll all come together, I guess.
I think everybody in the community has to start. We have to learn how to agree to disagree and come together.
Mm-hmm.
Even and it's okay if we're not supposed to agree with each other.
Yeah,
and
we can have different opinions about things. We just need to unite and work on this.
Ultimately, we got to keep our eye on the railroad track. What are we all here to do? And I think when people start to stop micromanaging and when they start looking at the bigger picture, we all have the same goal, don't we? Is disclosure and to save this planet. All right. So however you get there, whether it's by bus or train or horseback or walking, it doesn't matter. You look at the larger picture and be like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. They're not perfect. ET's aren't perfect. We're not perfect. I mean, the deep state probably says it's perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's just being a little bit more gentle with each other, and that can be as well sharing criticism. There's nothing that makes us better people, and just ultimately understanding that we're all here to fix this planet, and I hope the people. I hope the solar flare people are right, and that this is all going to just fix itself in a week. I really do.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
I'm all for that. I'm all for it. But yeah, it's just people got to just start shaking hands and putting down their sticks and stuff. I think. Yeah. Awesome. So we. All right. Let's see.
Anything else on the chats here, or
have
any last questions? Anyone?
Yeah, people. Yeah, thanking, of course, all of the people who took time to be with us today. Solar flare barbecue. Yes, that's what we need.
What's JP Greenlight process?
I see.
I'm curious about JP Greenlight process is like. So I'm not sure.
Oh, well, I mean, that question is probably about JP, the guy I've been working with since 2008, who gets the green light from a kind of like senior officer in the Air Force, who gives him permission to like talk about the missions that he's been on or the experiences he's been on. So that's his way of being able to kind of like make sure that he has protection, because he's still under the watch of the deep state. and so he needs the protection of the kind of like the white hats in the military and the positive ETs to make sure that the deep state doesn't get to him.
And Renata's also asking, oh, hang on, the message went away. A message here. You wrote on your Patreon that you will be switching things up because of your health. How will that going forward?
Well, thankfully, I've been able to recover a lot. I'm still not fully recovered. I'm still watching my health, but I'm much better. So I'm doing interviews again. I'm doing webinars again. But as far as the Patreon is concerned, so I'm still putting out a lot of content on that. So I love doing this. It's not as though I can stop. I mean, doctors might say, "Well, you got to stop doing it." I mean, that would just drive me crazy. I'd get so depressed if I stopped interviewing people and stopped talking about this. I'd get so depressed because it's
your health would probably deteriorate more.
Yeah, they'd be like, "What's the point? What's the point?"
Well, we definitely want to see that. We'd all be depressed too. We're like, "Oh no."
We need you always, Dr. Salla.
We can't lose any more of our ground troop. We can't lose.
Yeah. Rob Potter went only a month or so ago, and he's kind of like my age, and so actually I'm a little bit older than him. So that was a shock, when Rob went, because I thought he'd be around. So it's like whatever time we have left, we got to make the most of it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm making the most of it. I'm talking about the things that I'm passionate about. I'm not going to just say things anymore to make people feel good. I mean, I really will just say what I believe to be the truth, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm really happy to be working with both of you, Andrea and Michelle. I think the Envoy program is so important, and I'm so glad that I've been able to connect with you both, and I'm looking forward to doing an interview soon with Michelle, and I know we've done a couple, Andrea, so I'm looking forward to that next one down the track.
And that's Erica, actually. I think Erica's in the next one.
Erica next, and then Michelle.
Brilliant. Yeah. All right. Well, we're at 7:30, and it looks like all our chat people are winding down. Everybody's ready to take a nice, relaxing evening, get ready for their holiday tomorrow, maybe, right? So I want to thank Michelle for co-hosting, and I want to thank Dr. Michael Salla for spending some of his evening with us here in this rather loose, old speakeasy type style chat, which is what we hold. So it is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, guys, for all your time here.
Thank you, Dr. Salla. It's been an honor.
And then, as always, for everyone in our chat, as well as our guests and co-workers here, we will most likely see y'all upstairs tonight.
Yes.
All right. And let them have it.
Yeah, let them know.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
There you go. End stream. Once I can figure out how to end the stream.